Hello and welcome to Monkey's Paper Palooza Craft Corner. Today we are going to finish up our three-part series on the My Monthly Hero July 2019 kit. And in part 2 we are going to make some more cards using the kit. So we're going to start. I've got my Wendy Becky Make Art station and I put my Tim Holtz nonstick mat right on top of it with the magnets. I know we were talking about how this was slipping, and as you notice, we're not slipping as much anymore, and that is because I put on it some rubber feet. Now, you can get these from Amazon, any other home improvement stores. They're sticky little adhesive rubber ones. They come in different sizes, shapes. So I find on my glass mat, it does not slip, which I leave my glass mat on my surface all the time. So it's nice to know that I can now stick it on there and I don't have to worry about it slipping. And I can use it for my blending and stuff, which honestly, this for stenciling and blending is a beautiful invention. And I do have a video on this mat and I give a review of it and stuff and show all of it can do. So let's get into this panel because that's what we're doing today. And I'm just going to take a scrap piece of paper and use it as my horizon line. But now I can put my little magnets down and I can hold it down while I blend, which is a lot easier than using multiple things of tape. So I'm going to come in with my Wilted Violet first, and I am going to make a beautiful little circle window card using a beautiful kind of dusky sky. The magnets do make it a lot easier for blending on a horizon because not only does it hold down your horizon paper, but it's also holding down my panel. So there's my first part of that. This around, put some here. And I'm going to use my faded jeans on the bottom. I'm just going to blend it down. And I'm not worried about blending it down the whole entire panel, only because the window is going to be on the upper part. So it doesn't really matter. I'm just making sure I'm lined up still because I felt it was slipping a little. I'm perfectly aligned because I don't want to white line too much on there. So there is a little bit of a white line, but I'm not going to be too concerned because I'm going to put my silhouette in the middle, so it's going to cover up that line anyway. Add our We Are Memory Keepers Precision Press, and I'm going to try to center, I think more center this one, because like I said, it's going to have a little window in the center. So I'm not concerned about not reaching the edge of the lines. Now for that, I'm just going to take some Tuxedo Black, and I've been noticing my black has not been as black as I want it to be, so I'm just going to re-ink it, and we're going to let it sink in. It slightly sinks in. You see there's a little bit left over, but it's slowly sinking in. Alright, so now that I feel like it's mostly there, I'm going to go in there. And it's going to make my black juicier, so that way it actually gives me a black silhouette. Oops, and I missed a spot here. Let me get some more. Because when you're doing a silhouette, you want the blackest of black. And sometimes our ink pads, especially our black ones, get used so well that they just need that. Like, I was able to do this on the first try, which is a lot better than when I was doing it with 2 or 3 tries. So now I'm also going to add my little bird silhouette. And there we go. Now I'm going to add my ripples, and I'm going to do those, I believe, in Paris Dusk. Oops, I grabbed the black. Let me wipe that down and get the right color here. There we go, Paris Dusk. And there we go. We got our little water ripples. We got our birds. We got a nice little scene. But the nice thing is about Distress Oxide inks is you can add more colors on top. Now, I felt this looked a little too purple, and I wanted to add a little bit of pink. So I'm going to go in with my warm lipstick, and then I'm going to come in with a clean sponge and just blend it in a little bit better. And there we go. That feels a lot better to me. That way we have multiple colors in that background. So there's that panel. So now I'm going to cut my little frame that's going to go on top. And I'm going to take a stitch circle die. I'm going to position it, get some tape, and we're going to run it through our Cricut. So now I got this beautiful cut little circle frame where I have an opening down in the bottom. Now, there was a dispute about whether I used the pearl last video, and I did. It was actually on this. Now, a lot of you people are thinking that the pearl is white. The pearl is not white. The pearl is clear. It's like a chameleon, so whatever you have underneath it will show the color. It comes out clear. It does not come out white. So if I put it on here, it will be blue. It will not be white. It will be blue. Now, I'm going to put silver on mine, and this is also a Hero Arts embossing powder. It's their silver, only because it kind of goes more with the colors that I'm doing. I could have used the blue pearl on this, but I decided I didn't want to use it on this one because, like I said, it comes out almost like a cobalt blue on black. And you'll see that actually if you go on to my first video on this kit where we did a demo on black as well as on white. And you'll see both instances, they come out whatever color they're on top. So we're going to go on to this with some anti-static, and we're going to put our little sentiment, welcome to my happy place. And I'm, like I said, going to do this in just the metallic silver. I chose silver only because I felt that it kind of goes with what I'm going to do at the end with my embellishing. So I'm going to heat set that. Let me get that out of my way. And I'm going to show my Chandler. Some people are saying, how do you change the settings on your Chandler? Well, there's a little switch on here. And there's your low, there's your high. Pretty simple, but you're going to use your low for your paint and your 2 for your thing. And there was also a dispute about this cup on the top. They are supposed to be left on. Some people said take it off. I mean, I guess it's whatever method works good for you. I've so far seen no problem leaving it on. It hasn't melted any or done anything bad, so. Alright, so I'm wiped off my anti-static, and now I'm going to put some foam tape behind this panel. And I'm using my wide tape because I have a lot of surface to cover, and it takes less to do it. But I'm going to cut those down into little teeny strips so we just get our right length. And I'm going to cut my frame out. And from this one piece, I should be able to get all the remaining pieces I need for this. So these need to be cut a little shorter because there's less space. So I cut a little too long still, but that's all right. We're not making a shaker card, so it doesn't have to be perfectly to the edge. We are making just a window card. I didn't make any shaker cards with this because I wasn't really sure what I would put for a background. I think for a Christmas card it would be pretty putting like white powder or white glitter and making it like a snow scene, but for what I'm doing for this kit, I wouldn't use it right now. But if you were making Christmas cards, let's say with it, you could do it, or winter scene with the mountains, you could put snow and make it look really pretty. Alright, so there we go. I made sure we had enough foam to keep the frame balanced. That way if it does go through the mail, it doesn't crush. And we're just going to put it right over our ink blended panel. And a very simple little card. And I'm going to trim down my edges. Like I always say, it's better to go big than go little. So I'm just going to make sure we get all the anti-static off with my cloth. That way it's nice and clean. And I'm going to put this on a black card form because I love the black on black. Kind of gives it a classy little night view. And we're going to just tape this baby up. There we go. So that alone is a beautiful card. I am going to embellish it with my Stardust pen. And I'm just going to go and make little star dots. Now, I kind of got cut off, and I'm sorry about that. Sometimes our cameras do that to us. But what I did is basically put the little Stardust in there, like you saw me start with. And then I put 3 little dots on each side and then added my 5mm Blue Lagoon Mermaid sequins that are available on our shop. And I just embellished it with those just because it kind of went with what the background is. But I feel like my water needs a little bit of something, so I'm going to go in with my Stardust pen and just go along the lines of the ripples like they would be in a reflection of a moonlight sky and the stars. And then I'm going to go in the water a little bit and add some more of the stars as they would reflect in the water. And I think with that pen, you get that beautiful effect. Just like, look at that. Isn't that pretty? When it glistens so nicely, especially with the silver embossing powder sentiment as well as the stars in the center. All right, so for our second card, we are going to once again put our little non-stick mat down as well as our little guideline. I mean, you could do it without the non-stick mat if you wanted to, but I feel like ink blending can be messy and it's just going to make your mat really messy. And I'm a little concerned being printed how well it's going to wash if you keep on wiping it down. Sometimes that could take off the grid and I don't want to lose my grid. So I've been trying to do it on the non-stick mat so I can preserve it as long as I can. All right, so for this one, I'm doing like a sunset sky. So I got my spice marmalade and now I'm coming with my warm lipstick to make that sunset. And both of these are going to be kind of a window card because I love the 3-dimensional on the window cards. I had seen this kind of sort of design from someone else and I thought, well, that's really cool. So I'm going to make my own variation of it. I'm using the white pearl embossing powder that came with this kit again. And this time I'm doing it in a different way. I'm going to do it as a resist versus doing it on top of the ink. Last time I did it on top of the ink and it took on the blues of the background. So in this case, it's going to take on the white in the background and act like a resist, like a white resist or a clear resist would do. That's what this pearl does. It's not a white opaque. It's a clear embossing powder more than it is in opaque. So I think that's where we had a lot of confusion because someone said, you didn't use it. I'd like to see it used. And I was like, I did use it. It just was on the second card. And it kind of blends in. It's kind of a neat kind of crystalline kind of way. And I think that gives it a little bit more fun because if you have red in your water or purple, it's going to take whatever color you have behind it. But it's still going to have that pearl sheen, which is kind of cool. So see, there's the 2 different looks. And you're going to see the look more when I go in with the ink on top. It's going to resist and be more white because it's taking the white underneath on the cardstock. I feel like they should have called it Blue Pearl Chameleon embossing powder because it takes whatever is underneath it. It's kind of like my clear or Aurora Borealis rhinestones. They don't have a silver backing, so they take what's underneath it. The transparency. That's where I think some people got confused. So hopefully that cleared up for everybody. Yes, we did use it on both videos, and that's what you're going to get for a look with it as you use it. So I'm going to work on the little mountain scene I'm going to make in the background. So I took some white cardstock scrap, and I'm coming in with the lightest brown, which I believe was it suede or something like that. And then I'm going to come in with the lime green that came in the kit and do my tree line. And now I'm going to come in with the forest and I'm going to do the lower tree line. And like I said, you do get a little staining on it versus I didn't see the brown stain it on this color. The lighter brown doesn't seem, the darker stained it and the green stained my stamps. But this color didn't do it, so I don't know. Maybe it's the pigments in it. They're less. So I'm going to fussy cut this out only because I want to get all of it together. And the die, I've had a feeling, wouldn't cut deep enough down. So I'm going to hear that now into my card panel and give it kind of a cute little mountain look. And then I'm going to do another oval frame, and I'm making sure I got the right size because I want to make sure I get as much of the view as I can in our window without being too big. So line up this oval die, and there we go. Isn't that pretty? So we are going to now save our dock on here, but I am going to use my craft paper as my base color and just do the second layer. So I'm going to use the cocoa on this one. And that will go like that. Alright, now I fussy cut that out also because I wanted to make sure I left this bottom on it because it's going to be my three-dimensional piece. Like the dock is going into it. So I'm going to I cut that down a little bit more because I put it too high up before because I want to make sure more of the water and the ripples show. And I'm lining it up as close to the bottom of my frame as I can. And now I realized when I did this that I also wanted to add some green ferns or cattails in the background. So I'm going to quickly do those before I adhere it. I almost stuck it down completely and then I realized, don't do it. I want to put green behind there. So luckily I caught that before I stuck it too far. Alright, so there's one set of green cattails. There is two. That way it's behind the dock when I put it on. You really don't see much of them. I should have gone up a little higher. Oh well, it's still there. And now I'm going to stick that down. Oops, it stuck to my mat a little bit. And now I'm going to put three-dimensional foam tape on there again. Just to give it that 3-day lift so it looks like the dock is going into the water. Cut that down into our strips that we need for this. It was pretty close, just need to cut off a little bit. I'll put some pieces on the dock itself. That way it sticks out. Okay. Now to fill in the spaces that we have open, because you want to make sure it's balanced in a way. That way things don't cave in when you put it in the mail, because you don't want spots caving in. We know how some things get shipped, and they get moved around and bumped around, and ugh, they can't help themselves. They don't know what's in the package, so we'll just make sure we got plenty on there. There we go. Pop that right on top. And once again, I'll have to trim it down a little bit because it did not go on exactly. But I also wanted to make an edge to the dock. There we go. So I took some of one of my little twin tone markers and just put a little fine line. Just give it some dimension. And then I'm going to put the sentiment, "It's your birthday." I think it says "relax" or something like that. And I did that in the cocoa, rich cocoa. "It's your birthday." We'll do it one more time. "Relax and enjoy." That's what it says. And I'm going to take some of my matte champagne sequins and add that to my panel also for a little bit of embellishment. That way it's not over the top sparkle, because this is more sort of like a masculine card. That would give it a little bit more of a masculine, natural theme. So I put that all on a craft card form. I'll just take my Zig 2A glue and just add a few little sequins here and there. There we go. Cute little card that we can add for a birthday for a masculine. You get the three-dimensional pieces as well as the layering pieces, and there is the fun embossing pattern. Now for this next one, I am going to do masking, putting our layers on there and then masking it. I want to show this technique because I just feel like some people are like, I don't want to do it three-dimensional. I kind of want to just go on there and make a flat card. There is a way to do your three-dimensionals and have that. You just have to do it the correct way. So I've stamped it on some Inka-Dinka-Doo masking paper, and I'm taking my colors out, and I'm going to do my scenery first and then add my masking so that I can do the background scenery. So we're going to go in here first with our desert sand. That is our lightest color I'm going to use for our mountains. Then I am going to do cocoa, the rich cocoa after, just to make our shadows. And there's that. Now the tree line is coming down a little high. So what I want to do with this is I'm going to take a strip of my masking, just to cut a little strip of it, and I'm going to stamp it a little bit under. That way it still stays where my masking is going to cover over, because if I go over, then I'm going to have to add more masking, and I don't want to have to deal with that. So I'm just going to do to the edge where it's not going to show much. So I think I slipped a little bit when I moved my paper. There we go. And I'm going to do that. I changed my colors around. We're going to do bamboo leaves and cottage ivy, only because I felt like the other green might be too light and these would be brighter. So I'm going to do 2 layers. Oop, I put the wrong color. Let me wipe that down quickly. A wet cloth I have beside me. And do 1 more layer of that. Then I'm going to move that down a little bit more. And I'm going to do my second stamp, which is the second layer of trees. And we're going to do that in the cottage ivy, which will make it brighter for our second layer of trees. And what's nice is when I remove that, it stays right where I want it, especially when I'm going to be doing, oops, I noticed I had a little spot that wasn't there. Let me fix that first. It's going to be right where my mask is going to end. So that way I can keep that mask on there and just go right over everything and not have to worry about moving some down or adding extra. And as you see, it'll go right over it. So I did the mask of the biggest mountain part. That way it covers it up. So now I can do my ink blending and not worry about affecting my scenery I just made. So you could do it with that, or if you are more comfortable using liquid mask in a rubber cement eraser, you can do it that way too. Some people like doing it with masking fluid because they can feel like it's more fluid and more easy. I just find it's a little less messy to do it with the masking paper. And you get a lot in a little package. Mine's lasted me quite a while. I still have over half my package left. You just take what you need for little pieces, just print it on the end, keep the little scraps, use it for other ones later on. It goes a long way. So now I'm blending my panel. I use spiced marmalade and worn lipstick, and now coming in with broken china and just adding some fun color to the background. And see, there we go. I didn't even have to layer any paper. Once again, I'm doing the dock on my craft. And we're going to come back in with that rich cocoa, cocoa for this one. And we are going to do it one more time in that. And this time I'm going to die cut it. And I'm also going to die cut the silhouettes of those people. I'm going to make them three-dimensionally jumping in the water. So we have our little life preserver, which I'm going to stamp in red. This is a rhubarb stalk. And I'm also going to take a little safety line, a little buoy, and put it there. Also stamp that in the same color. So now let's do our placing. So I'm going to put my dock on the bottom and then throw my little people there. So before I do that, I'm going to stamp some reeds on there, some more of the little cattail reeds, and I'm going to do those in cottage ivy. I'm going to 3D mount this dock on the back so that it's kind of lifted above. Add that to it. Alright, now we're going to do our little people. We're going to 3D mount them too. Instead of stamping them this time, I decided I wanted them to look like they're jumping off the dock. So I am going to mount them with some foam tape strips, as little as I can get them because they are teeny tiny people. I'm not going too crazy with the adhesive because I know that there's enough that they're not going to crush too much. Take off the little pierces, put the little jumping boy and the jumping girl in there. Then we're going to do our ripples. Trying to figure out the best placement for my ripple. But wait, first I want to put our little buoy line. I think I want to go almost, oops, I think that's too low. Yeah, that's too low. I'm going to put it up a little higher underneath them so it looks like it's behind them. And I'm going to add, I think, I was going to put the life preserver there, but I think I'm going to add it to the bottom. There we go. And then we will work on our ripples just to fill in the space beside them. Get that little ripple down there. Oop, I still got the dock on there. Let's get that off. Alright, so I'm just going to do that in, I believe it's going to be the Paris Dusk again. So now I'm going to add our sentiment. And there's one I hadn't used yet, and I think I'm going to use it because I like to try to use every piece of the kit if I can. So far I've used the ducks, the fish, the fishermen, the birds, so most of the sentiments, but Sending a Splash of Love I hadn't used yet, so we're going to use that. And then add our little birds. So I think I've used almost everything. I've used the big mountain, the little mountain, the cuts, the little extra cutouts, using the dies with them. I just wanted to show every aspect. That way you guys get a clear view of what you can do with the kit. There's a lot of different things. And I feel like these kits sometimes, pieces of them I pull out again and use it another time for a different card because it just fits what I'm doing. Alright, so we're putting this on a white card form this time, just to pop some color. Pretty. Alright, so for our last card, this card I'm doing something a little different. This one I'm going to make it look like a vintage photo. So I'm taking the big stamp of the mountains and I'm going to do that first in my desert sand. And then I'm going to go in with our mountain tops. Oops, sorry, I had to lose view from it. I had to make sure we were straight. It's sometimes hard to line up these layering stamps on camera. I gotta put my head in it. Alright, and then we've got that. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this little person and we're gonna just do him in cocoa, rich cocoa. And this whole card I'm pretty much gonna use for my stamped images, the rich cocoa and the desert sand. Because like I said, it's going to be a vintage photo, so I'm going to do it in sepia tones. I'm going to take our dock outline first. That in. And then we're going to do the background piece on top. So this one I'm going to kind of do in a reverse stamp, only because I feel like it'll be a little easier with this one to line it up. Now I'm taking the back part of it just to add some color to it, and I'm doing that in desert sand. Now we're going to add our ripples. Very fun and monotone. So we are going to add our little things. And this one I'm going to take the rich cocoa just to make this look darker. Because that's in the foreground. Little cutting here. So I cut it down. Now I'm going to take my vintage photo and I'm just going to go around it and just give it that vintagey kind of distressed old photograph look. And I'm going to put this on a craft card form. And then I'm going to put a layer of a brown strip of cardstock. That way it kind of pops it a little bit. Darkest brown I can go that kind of goes with the cocoa ink. And then I'm going to 3D mount it with some Scotch tape. And then we're going to kind of diagonal mount it. Because I didn't want it to be perfect. I want to look like a picture thrown down. Alright, and that looks awesome. So I'm going to add for a scent bit the Wish You Were Here. I'm going to do that in the same rich cocoa we did the printing in, that way it pops out. So now I'm going to add just some more embellishment to this by adding some more of those matte champagne sequins. Just because they're the perfect kind of sepia tones to them. And there we go. There is a very simple but very fun card. So, like I said, there are so many possibilities with this kit. You can do fun ink blending, simple stamping, 3D mounted cards. There is so many possibilities. So if you like this video, please check out the last video we uploaded, as well as one specially curated just for you. And like always, we welcome you to like, subscribe, ring for notifications. Also, check out our Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and soon to be WordPress pages.